Hallo zukünftige Deutsche und Deutscherinnen. Wie geht's heute? Ich spreche auf English. Last lesson we covered the alphabet and some German phonetics. This time we are going to learn about numbers. I'd say that today's lesson is quite an easy lesson, but nonetheless, numbers are important. Doch zuerst eine kleine Zusammenfassung. But first a little recap. Here we have our trusty friends Heidi and Hans. Given that last lesson was about phonetics, there isn't much to recap. However, we do have 3 new words. Freund, which is friend, gern, which is a way of saying you're welcome, and tschüss, which is an informal version of auf Wiedersehen. I'm afraid you don't get to choose any of the goings-on in this conversation, as they are fixed answers. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, here is what you should have got. Heidi: Guten Morgen. Hans: Hallo, wie geht's? Heidi: Mir geht's furchtbar. Hans: Warum? Heidi: Weil ich einsam bin. Hans: Nein, ich bin dein Freund. Heidi: Ja, du bist, danke. Hans: Gern. Tschüss. Heidi: Tschüss, Hans. So, correct yourself if needed, though this is a speaking exercise, so you didn't have to write anything down. If you did, that's absolutely fine if you wanted to challenge yourself, but it was just a speaking exercise. Okay. Oh dear, I lost the verb endings again. Silly me. Since you're so good at it, why don't you help me out? Here is the verb sagen. I want you to conjugate it. Conjugation is the official term for taking an infinitive and finding the endings required for the other forms of the verb. I'll give you some time to do that in your book or on some paper. Okay, here is what you should have got. Mark and correct your work if needed. Remember that with these exercises, there is no flexibility, so you have to either get these answers or you are wrong. So to go through it, the infinitive to say is sagen. The first person singular, I say, ich sage. Second person singular, you say, du sagst. Third person singular, he, she, it says, sie, es sagt. First person plural, we say, wir sagen. Second person plural, you plural say, ihr sagt. Third person plural, they say, sie sagen. So, that's what you should have got. Like I say, mark and correct your work if needed. Also, die Zahlen. So, the numbers. Los geht's. That means let's go. You've probably figured that out by now. Okay, here are the numbers 1 to 10, translated into German. I'll read them out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nochmal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Die Zahlen 1 bis 10. The numbers 1 to 10. Okay, practice those if needed. We will do a bit of practice with them once we've learnt a few more numbers. Okay, here are the numbers 11 to 20. I'll read them out for you. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Die Zahlen 11 bis 20, the numbers 11 to 20. I'll read them out once more, and then I'll show you how to count from 1 to 20. So, once more with just these numbers. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So, counting all the way from 1 bis 20, from 1 to 20, 1 to 20. So, to make this easier, I'll go back to this slide, and then when it comes to it, I'll change to the next one. So, just count to 10 as usual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Once more, this time, I want you to either go along with me or pause after I've done it and repeat after me. Okay. 3, 2, 1, los geht's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Very good. So that is how to count from 1 to 20. Makes it look easy. If this is slightly difficult for you, you can always skip back and carry on learning how to count from 1 to 10, 11 to 20, and then from 1 all the way to 20. Okay, what better way to apply knowledge of numbers than some good old arithmetic? Here are some very, very simple sums that you'll be able to figure out with ease. Please calculate them on your paper or in your book, and then convert your answer into German rather than numerics. By the way, if you're a bit confused about the x, then 5x, then 2x, then 3x, then x, then the pound sign 4x. By the way, ignore the pound sign because it's hard to put your answer in German if you've put a pound sign, so just ignore the pound sign. But if you're confused about what to do, so it's saying that x equals 1, so what is 5 times x? That would be 5 times 1. 2x is 2 times 1. 3x is 3 times 1. X is just 1. And then 4x is just 1. Like I say, it is 4 times 1. Like I say, just ignore the pound sign. Okay, I'll give you some time to pause the video and do those very, very taxing sums. Okay, here are the answers to the sums. 1 und 3, 1 plus 3, 4, because that's 4. 7 und 3, 7 plus 3, 10, because that is 10. By the way, if you somehow got the maths wrong, which it's sometimes easier to do if you're rushing it, don't worry, we're practicing the numbers here, not your arithmetic skills. Though I do hope that you're able to perform sums as simple as this. Anyways, 8 und 9, 8 plus 9, 17. 8 und 4, right, 8 plus 4, 12, because it's 12. 1 und 1, very, very easy. 1 plus 1, 2, 2. 10, und dann hast du 5, so that is 10, minus 5 is 5, 5. And then you've got 5 divided by 5, which is obviously 1, so convert that to German, 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3, convert that to German, 3. 7 times 2 is 14, convert that to German, 14. 8 times 2 is 16, convert that to German, 16. 1 times 12 is 12, convert that to German, 12. 26 divided by 2 is 13, convert that to German, 13. So x equals 1, which is this is the easiest algebra you'll ever encounter, quite literally. So 5 times x, 5 times 1 is 5, convert that to German, 5. 2 times x, that's 2 times 1, is 2, convert that to German, 2. 3 times x, that's 3 times 1, 3, and the answer is, in German, 3. X is just 1, convert that to German, 1. 4 times x is 4. Like I say, please ignore the pound sign. If you've put the pound sign, that's absolutely fine, but I realised afterwards that you were giving your answers in German, so do not bother with the pound sign if you didn't put that. If you did put that, that's fine, but make sure that you know the German. Okay, here are some new numbers, the multiples of 10. The way they work is pretty predictable. Take the number that you are multiplying by 10 and just add Z-I-G on the end, pronounced sich. The exceptions are 20, 30, 10, 60 and 70, which sounds like a lot. However, 30, 60 and 70 still obey these rules. They just have slight differences either because of the way that the initial number is spelled or just randomly, but they still tend to follow the same rule. 30 has an S set instead of just a set. And 20 completely disobeys the rule, so ignore it. And 10 is its own number, it's treated as its own number, just like in any other language, or most of the languages anyway. So I'll read them out for you. Vielfache von 10, multiples of 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Nochmal. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay. Here are some more ones, the ones in between. Okay, die dazwischen means the ones in between. To create numbers like the ones on the screen in German, take the number you want to add to the multiple of 10, add und and the multiple of 10 on. If that doesn't make sense, here's an example. So, the ones on the screen are all with 20. You can do it with other numbers and it's exactly the same. For example, 43 would be 3, 3, und, and 40, 40. 43. Try it with your own numbers. We will be practicing it in a second though. With 100, you can say something like 100 and then add the number as it would normally be. So 101, 121. It's really easy. Okay, here are some more math sums for you to complete, converting your answers into German. I'll give you some time to pause the video and do this on a piece of paper. Okay, here are the answers. Mark and correct your work if needed. So, 3 plus 13 is 16, convert that to German, 16. 7 plus 21 is 28, convert that to German, 28. 8 times 9 is 72, convert that to German, 72. 8 times 4 is, that should say, 32. It is 32, that says 3, it should be 2. So if you put 3, you're wrong. And if you changed your answer because it said 33 on the screen, busted, because that is the wrong answer. 32. 1 times 1 is 1, convert that to German, 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2, convert that to German, 2. 5 times 5 is 25, convert that to German, 25. That's on the other screen, really easy. 6 times 2 is 12, convert that to German, 12. 7 times 2 is 14, convert that to German, 14. 8 times 2 is 16, convert that to German, 16. 1 times 12 is 12, convert that to German, 12. 26 times 2 is 52. Convert that to German, 52. So x equals 1 again, it's just that the coefficients are larger. So 10 times x, 10 times 1 is 10, convert that to German, 10. 21 times 1 is 21, convert that to German, 21. 99 times 1 is 99, convert that to German, 99. A very funny number, 99. One of my favourite numbers in German. And then 100 times 1 is 100, convert that to German, 100. You don't need 100 unless you're adding another number on, so here it's just 100. 50 times 1 is 50, convert that to German, 50. Okay. Here are the große Zahlen, big numbers. So, some of them are just a joke, like eine Billiarde barely ever exists as a number in terms of real terms, but the first few are useful. 100, 100, 1000, 1000. Now, in German, it's a bit confusing because eine Million is, as you would expect, a million. However, eine Milliarde is a billion, and eine Billion is a trillion, and eine Billiarde is a quadrillion. Okay, so I'll go through these. 100, 100, 1000, 1000, eine Million, a million, eine Milliarde, a billion, eine Billion, a trillion, eine Billiarde, a quadrillion, and then Unendlichkeit, Unendingkeit, Unendlichkeit, infinity. Okay, so a verb of the day. Once again, we've learnt something which doesn't really use that many verbs. Last time we were learning alphabet and phonetics. This time we're learning numbers. There just aren't that many verbs involved, really. However, given that we're learning about numbers, a good verb to use is zählen, to count. Now, I chose this one as well because it has an umlaut in its infinitive. It has an umlaut in it. No need to worry, this doesn't affect the way it works. Sometimes it can affect the way it works. However, in this particular instance, don't worry, you do need to include the umlaut, but it does not change the way the verb works. It's still first person singular, I count, or I am counting, ich zahle, ich zähle. Second person singular, you are counting, du zählst. Third person singular, he is counting. Oh, that should say he, she, it is counting. That's a bit sexist. Zählt. First person plural, we are counting, wir zählen. Second person plural, you plural are counting. Remember, we don't change this in English, but we do in German, is zählt. The third person plural, they are counting, sie zählen. Okay. So we will, as usual, recap that verb. I may lose my endings, hint, hint, again. So if you need, revise that, but I'll quickly go through it. Ich zahle, I count. Du zahlst, you count. Er zahlt, he counts. Sie zahlt, she counts. Es zahlt, it counts. Wir zahlen, we are counting. Ihr zahlt, you plural are counting. And sie zahlen, they are counting. The reason I nearly said you there is because in German, if you want to be very respectful to somebody or that person is elderly, you would say sie. You wouldn't refer to them as du, you would refer to them as sie. It's the same with teachers, and it's just a bit like auf Wiedersehen and tschüss or hallo and guten Tag. It's just formal to refer to somebody as sie, but less formal for du. But third person plural is not you, it is they. So if I had have said you, it would have been a mistake, but just explaining why I nearly said it, and we will come back to formality in another lesson. So the past perfect, this is another, so on these slides we've got only the present tense. Here we have the past tense. Now, personally, I think that in German the past tense is really easy. In other languages, there's all sorts of rules where you have to take the verb and put an accent on its last vowel, or you have to change the ending or whatever. In German, you really don't. You just say, ich habe, I have. Thomas is the example. I'm not called Thomas. You are not necessarily called Thomas. And then, ge, put a ge on the beginning. Put the root word, and in most of them you put a T on the end, but in heißen you just put the EN on the end. So, ich habe Thomas geheißen, I was called Thomas, or I have been called Thomas. When I say I have been called Thomas, if somebody is calling you a name, they are not heißen you that name. So you can't say, I have been called a bully, I have been called ugly, I have been called, you cannot use geheißen for that. Heißen is only your real name. Ich habe, ins Hotel is the example. I don't live in a hotel, you don't have to live in a hotel. Gewohnt. This time you use ge, the root word, wohn, and the T, so you put gewohnt. This means I stayed in a hotel, or I lived in a hotel, or I have stayed in a hotel, or I have lived in a hotel. So, ich habe Thomas geheißen, I have been called Thomas, or I was called Thomas. Ich habe ins Hotel gewohnt, I stayed in a hotel. Ich habe das gesagt. Now, using the things that I've told you so far, what do you think gesagt means? Say it in the comments before this. Pause the video and say it in the comments before I reveal it. Gesagt means said. Also, ich habe das gesagt means I have said that. I have said that. And if you wanted to say I have already said that, you would say ich habe das schon gesagt. I have already said that. Ich habe das schon gesagt. I have already said that. I imagine you'd be quite angry if you said that. I've already said that. It's not usually, oh, I've already said that. So if somebody is being dreamy and repeating things you've said as though you haven't said them, ich habe das schon gesagt. I've already said that. And then, ich habe bis 10 gezählt. It's the verb we learnt today, if you remember, to count. gezählt. So, or I have counted. So, that is all for today's lesson. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. That is with an umlaut. Fürs, not fürs, it is fürs. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Thank you very much for watching. Ich hoffe, dass du etwas gelernt hast. I hope that you have learned something. Okay, zukünftige Deutsche und Deutscherinnen, auf Wiedersehen.